Leadership isn't just changing, it's evolving in ways we're only just beginning to imagine. And women, we're not playing this game anymore. We're the ones reshaping the entire field, building models, movements, and businesses that serve more than just a few. On the She Leads podcast, you'll hear real conversations with women who've broken through all kinds of barriers: revenue, identity, borders, and expectations. There's no sugarcoating here, just the truth, told by those who are living it. I'm Adrienne Garland, entrepreneur, strategist, educator, and creator of live experiences, gathering women leaders together for over a decade. And this is the She Leads podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the She Leads podcast. I am so excited to welcome my next guest. Her name is Midori Verity, and she is the CEO and founder of Fuel to Fire. I am just so honored because I have been a part of Midori's groups, and the women that she attracts into her world are just simply phenomenal. Welcome to the She Leads podcast, Midori.
Thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here with you and see where this conversation goes. We had a great conversation before we even hit record. So I know we are going to be throwing out a lot of nuggets in this call.
Well, I think that that's probably an amazing place to start because we were talking about making sure that women have the vision and the playbook to get to the next level in their business and also in their lives, right? So many of the women that have come on the She Leads podcast in the past are business owners, they're growing, they're scaling. And I've been having different conversations lately with women that have actually gotten past that $1 million mark, or it's in their sights. And as much as they want to continue to grow and, maybe sell their business and all of that, they're thinking about what's next for them when it comes to true impact. And I just find this conversation to be so fascinating. And I know that you work with a lot of women as well. What type of conversations are sort of the women that have grown and scaled their businesses? What are they looking at for their future?
Yeah, I love this. I love this topic. What I see from those who have already hit a certain level of success is one, they're able to, there's a different sense of relaxation's not the correct term, but they hit that first nugget, right? They hit that thing that seems so elusive for so many, and they hit it. And so what I hear from the women that I talk to who have reached this level is that they want to give back to those who work for them.
Yes.
They want to help raise them up because they know that how hard it is. They know the struggles. And that's one of the biggest things that I hear from them is that they want to give back to those who are that they can relate with, who are not quite where they are.
I love that. And, I think it's super interesting because so many of the women that have gotten past that mark, they had a certain set of circumstances that they had to overcome. And, you know, Midori, I have to take a break because my dog has decided to bark. I don't know if you can hear him, and he needs to be let out.
This adds all to it. It's all part of it, right? It's all of the reality of entrepreneurship and working from our own homes.
It really is. And I would love to have a space outside of my home in order to do all of this. And for me, I think that that is what I'm looking at next. And, actually, this is really interesting. So I had to run out and let my dog out in the middle of our amazing conversation. And it's the reality of women entrepreneurs building businesses, trying to keep expenses low. And it's actually uh, one of these like maladaptive things that we do, right? So we are looking at how do we save expenses because maybe our businesses aren't bringing in the type of revenue that allow us to have offices. And it's so interesting to me because I'm not 100% sure that men go to the same lengths to sort of set up their homes. They will look for an a space that suits them. They will find a way to generate that extra revenue so that they have a private space. And I think that we can learn a lot from our male counterparts on how to set yourself up for success when it comes to business. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and there's a lot of studies that prove exactly what you said, and so I think we should talk about that a little bit more about the mindset and the approach to business. One
Yes.
one thing that has been proven is that women tend to play smaller. We have a different rule book, mental rule book that we play by that is led with fear.
Yes.
Whereas men come together and they help each other. I'm talking in generalities,
Of
but they
course.
come together and they help each other. And the best thing that we can do for ourselves as women is to surround ourselves with other people, not just women. We have to be playing with other successful people, which usually include men too.
Yes.
So paying attention to what are they doing differently that's allowing them to have a faster rate of success, of growth, and being open to that. And then the next part of that is being aware of what are we doing to hold ourselves back? What's the
Yeah.
story we're playing in our head, such
Yes.
as I'm not smart enough, I'm not working hard enough, I'm not capable, I don't have the time, I'm raising a family. Whatever it is, what are the stories that you're playing in your head that are keeping you playing at a level that you don't want to play at? You really want to play at that 7, 8, maybe even 9-figure place,
Yes.
but you don't know how. And so you're doing all this crazy stuff out there
Yep.
and you're running yourself ragged. And then you're playing that playbook of, I'm so busy. I don't have time. I don't have time. In fact,
Yes.
I have someone who has recently come into my orbit. I'm not going to say how, but she has come into my orbit and she's a newer business owner and she's running herself ragged. She bought a business
Mm.
and she decided to keep her other job, her full-time job,
Mm.
while she's running this business, her new business that she and her husband bought. And the first thing I told her is I've owned businesses for almost 3 decades. I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of entrepreneurs. And one thing I know is if you are spreading yourself too thin, you will never be successful. You
Yeah.
have to dive all the way in, jump all the way in. If you decide to go out on that limb, start a business, you need to do everything possible to make it successful. And so with that, you need to mentally tell yourself, this is it. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You need to know where the hell you're going. What is it that you really want? What are the, what, what's it look like when you get there? Be
Yeah.
really clear and build that roadmap. And then the other thing, the third thing that is imperative is find those who've already done it
Yes.
and go and learn from them. I can't tell you how this is so not a sale. It's have coaches that can show you people that you're paying, because if you're not paying them, they're not gonna be around that much,
No.
right?
Right.
So take it seriously and do everything to set yourself up for success.
Midori, it's so funny. This advice applies at so many different levels. And as you were talking, I just was thinking so much about the qualities that make women so amazing and special. It's that we are able to, like hold a basket of our lives where it's, we know everything that's going on with our kids. If they're in school, we know when their assignments are due. We know when everybody's everything is due. We have it all in our minds. And it's so amazing because so many people rely on us for it. It's a superpower. And it is actually a negative when it comes to building a business for the exact reason that you said. when we're doing too much, we can't focus. And so, like, that is the critical success factor. We're in a lot of ways, and I hate to say this, it's like almost like business entrepreneurship in a lot of ways goes against our nature, right? And so I think that's why it's so difficult to sort of overcome that, because we do these things naturally and we're juggling all the balls and we don't want to drop any of them because they are all so meaningful to us in one way or another. And this idea of being able to have a vision and going all in and going for it, it applies when you, like your client, when they've just bought a business, they have to focus. It also applies when women get to that next level that we were talking about before. They're past that $1 million mark. They might not even have thought that they could get there. So, like, what's that next vision for them? And how do you at that level go all in on what's next?
Yeah, it's a constant evolution. It is, and you have to become a new person at
Mm.
that new level, right? So the CEO that you are at a six-figure business is much different than the CEO that you'll become when you're at a seven-figure business.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of variation in between there. And in fact, when you get to that seven-figure business, you probably or you might not be the right person for the CEO and your role should change,
you're right.
right? And so being clear on that, again, talking with those people who already are there, who can simplify it for you.
Yeah.
We get so as women, this is I think just it goes back generations, is that
Mhm.
we're so used to holding the basket, as you
Yeah,
said, right?
yeah,
And juggling so many different things. But in business, you're not effective when you're doing too much of that, right?
right.
And so being laser focused on where am I going? How do I do this? And then what's the playbook look like?
Mm,
Right. So having that playbook from someone who's already been there and can tell you, stop doing this, you're wasting your time, or delegate that, and
yes.
this is where you want to be putting all your eggs. This is where you're going to be focused because this is where we're going and this is how you're going to get there. And all of a sudden, when you have that roadmap and that clarity from someone who's already done it, so they've proven the process, everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
And to get to that six, seven, eight-figure mark isn't so hard, but because you figured out the roadmap. But when you're
Mm,
trying to build it yourself, and when you are playing those recordings into your head, I can't afford this, I'm not capable, I'm too busy, whatever the crap is that you're telling yourself, you won't get there. If you're telling yourself you don't have the time, the money, whatever it is, guess what? You don't.
yeah.
Whereas if you have someone who I just went through this, I just made a call with this guy who I never thought I could ever touch, right? He's just so high level. And I was
Mm,
on a call with them, and what was supposed to be a 45-minute call ended up being an hour and a half.
wow.
And he opened up my eyes to a whole new possibilities that I never thought was possible.
Mm,
And the thing that he did was that he laid out the playbook.
mm,
And all of a sudden I could envision, I'm like, oh, it's not so hard. I just didn't know how. I was
right.
born to it. And so now we're playing that playbook out and it's not scary anymore because I've built so many businesses. I know, just like you said, Adrian, before our call, you were so successful in the corporate market, but as an entrepreneur, it's different. It's a different
Yes.
place.
It's a different playbook. You're right. It's a different game.
It's a different game. It's different language. There's different acronyms. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Like when I talk to you about being in the corporate world, that's foreign to me because I've always been an entrepreneur.
Ah,
Uh-huh,
yes.
and so, with my groups that I have, I'm shifting a little bit, but with the groups that I have, I bring in women who came from corporate. Maybe they haven't had a really successful business yet, but there's so much as entrepreneurs that we can learn from those executives
Yes.
who played that, and then vice versa, right? So that's a really helpful marriage to have in there for us to learn from one another, to
Yes.
play differently. So I think you have a superpower with the
Mm.
experience that you've had.
Yeah, and, I think that's super interesting, and the thing about corporate that's good, because there's a lot that's really not so good, but the thing that's good, and this was a little while ago now, so hopefully things have changed, but the thing that is good is you have resources, people, budgets at your disposal. So some of the decisions that you make are backed by these resources. And so you're playing at a $40 million budget, a $50 million budget, and you're moving all the pieces around and you see how everything works and you're confident and you bring the people on and you bring the vendors on and you manage everybody and it's easy. And I was good at that, right? When you switch to entrepreneurship and all of a sudden all of that goes away and you don't have anybody to delegate anything to, it's what you said, you're playing a different game. And then once you learn how to play that game, maybe as a solo entrepreneur, one or two people helping you, and then you end up scaling, you almost get back to that place where you were in corporate, where you start to, be the maestro of everything. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't know how to play in that phase. So it's really funny as we're talking, I'm almost having like an epiphany because, in my business, I am still at that lower level. I haven't gotten to the place where I used to play in corporate because I know like in my soul, if I were able to put together the teams and hire the agencies and do all of the things. Listen, there's no place that She Leads Media couldn't go, right? But it's sort of getting to there is for me personally what the struggle is, and I've talked about this on the podcast a lot, and it's just super interesting to think about these different phases, and the more that we do talk about these things and bring them into awareness, especially for women, then hopefully, we can come together in groups like yours, coming to the She Leads Live conferences so that we can help each other, because that's something, like you said before, that men are really good at doing. They are really good at helping each other. How
Mhm.
can women help each other more? How can they do that?
Okay, so first I want to hit on what you just talked about. And talk about that because I think we're talking about getting to that higher level. That's what this podcast is about.
Yep.
And then what? And then what do you do? So what you just said, Adrienne, is once you get to a certain pinnacle, you're going to thrive,
Yeah.
right? Once you're able to have that whole team behind you and you can delegate, you know how to play in that field and be really successful. So
Yep.
my question back to you, I'm throwing this ball at you, is how do you get yourself to that level? Because at that point, once you get your company to that point, you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
So what's keeping you? What's that gap that's keeping you from getting there?
Mm. That is the question. Yeah, that is the question, and I personally think that for She Leads Media, and I love that we're doing live coaching. This is so unexpected, but I think it is sort of the business model is not really aligned with where I want to go, and also perhaps the audience, the ideal client is really not who I've been serving over these last, 10 years. I think there's a mismatch there.
Hmm. And so that could be, but you want to look at the business. What's possible when you get to, if you fast forward and you think, okay, well, when I get she leads media to this level, what's it look like? Who are my clients? What are we doing? What's the
Yeah.
average ticket size,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Do we have more of a tech component? I don't know too much about it, but what does it look like? And
Mhm.
therefore, we need to start implementing that now. So now here's another thing. This is for everybody.
Yes.
Is where you operate. Everyone knows what their zone of genius is, and if you don't, then there's ways to figure that out. So you want to be playing from your zone of genius as much as possible. In fact, you want to be playing from there at least 80% of the time because you're going to be more successful and it's going to be a lot easier of a lift.
Mm.
So, what is it that needs to happen? Is it just the financial part? What's keeping you from getting that financial part to get you there? right?
Yeah.
So men do this much easier of
Yes.
getting funding, going out and
Yes.
getting VC funding, getting a line of credit, whatever it is, they are just better at it. And let me back that up with it's a lot easier for them. It's just
Yes.
that's a plain fact. It's easier for them to get funding. So, with that said, what can we do as women? Let's play smart. Let's
Mm.
play by their game.
Yes.
What can help us get there? So, maybe it's partnering with a man,
Yeah.
right? Who's
Yes.
already been there.
Mm.
What can you bring to that person who maybe has ties in for VC funding or whatever it may be that you're looking for that you can bring to the table that they don't have?
Mm.
Right? So, really thinking about that, getting more creative and thinking of what's possible and really thinking of what needs to happen and how do you fill those gaps to get you there faster. It doesn't have to be so hard. We
Mm.
just have to be playing a different game.
Hey everyone. So, for years, I've been working with Dr. Kent and sending people in my network his way. He does so much impact work. What do I mean by that? Well, he helps people create books and podcasts and things like that. He even helps with this podcast behind the scenes. Dr. Kent is my thought partner. Anyone listening knows that we all need to do what we can to get our thoughts, opinions, and voices out into the world, and how important it is for women to invest in other women and for women to hire other women. I am all about that, and you all know that. But in this case, I think Dr. Kent is an exception. He's doing something really different via this new program that he's launched called the Genius Discovery Program. So he wants to work with people like me and like you who are impact driven. Dr. Kent has an intensive program that goes for a month. He also has a 3-month program where he figures out where you're headed with your brand, your business, your speaking, and your signature story as a thought leader. I've known Dr. Kent for a long time. So believe me when I say that he has a ton of experience working with people that are looking to make an impact but might not know exactly how to approach that. So if you're interested in talking to him, you can go directly to talktokent.com or you can send me a DM on Instagram at She Leads Media or just shoot me an email over at hello@sheleadsmedia.com.
I want to sort of breathe in everything that you have just said. And in so many ways, it's so beautiful because just thinking like globally, right? The pendulum swings from all male leadership, and then we say, that doesn't work. And then we swing it to all women leadership. And we're like, not sure that's working. So coming together and really truly balancing each other out because there is no doubt men have been playing this game and winning for a really long time.
Yeah. And so, with that, Adrian, is that men have had it longer, right?
Right,
They've had so much longer to play this game, and women are relatively new to the
right,
game, right? And so
right.
we haven't had all that experience, and it's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
And I think it's like politics, right? We see it's a perfect analogy, and I don't care where anyone is politically, but we see the far right, see the far left, but when we come together
Yep.
and we are listening to one another and we're taking each other's genius and instead of pushing it away and fighting it, instead we're saying,
Yes.
you know what, you do that pretty darn good. But
Yeah.
here's what I can do to help amplify what you're doing. Let's come together and think smartly and stop pushing away so hard.
Yes.
That's where the genius really happens. And that's where the magic can happen because they sure as hell need us.
Yes.
And we need them too, and it works better, and it doesn't have to be a them or us. It doesn't need to be that way. Let's play
Yeah.
together and help bring each other up.
That is so smart. And I feel like you are claiming, putting the stake in the ground for a new way forward. And I do think it's us working together and figuring out, what are women's zones of genius? What are men's zones of genius? And how can we work together to get to a better place for all of humanity? I mean, that is when I started She Leads, it was very much because I saw that it was so difficult for women to start, grow, scale, sell successful businesses. And I wanted to learn from other women that had done that. And, I thought it's all women, like women, we're the leaders, right? We need to be. And I will not back off of that. There needs to be so many more women starting businesses, leading. It's so unequal. But the goal for She Leads was never to be more than men. It was to get to an equal playing field. And I do hope that everything that you're saying, that we maybe do start to change a little bit of how we operate, and we maybe bring some people into the fold that we might not have thought to bring in even 3 years ago.
100%.
Yeah, this is really good stuff. And it's funny because the name of my company is She Leads, right? So I'm going to have to figure out how do I sort of move forward with She Leads by bringing in other, resources so that it really is communicating that we are all leading, and we should all be leading together.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love that. And who knows? Who knows where Sheely's media goes? This might be something a pivotal moment.
This
We
probably
all
is.
witness it.
Listen,
But
Midori,
I do agree with you, Adrian, that when women come together, we do operate different. And so it's so magical to have us come together in a space where we feel safe, right? Where we can
yes,
talk about the real things going on for us. And it's the same for men. Men
it
talk
is.
differently, they think differently, they operate differently. So they need that space too. And it's okay. It's
Yes.
okay. But we don't, it doesn't have to be one or the other. But, that's why have my women's community, is because it was for me. I wanted a space where I had women who lifted me up too, and where we're talking authentically, and we're helping open doors, and we're talking about our kids driving us up the wall and the
Yeah,
challenges that we have, and then getting Botox and all that, because it's different. And so,
it
but
is
that's the
different.
reality. And we can be more real. From what I have experienced, is that we can be more authentic and real when it's just women in the room sometimes. But there
Yeah.
are spaces, there is a place for us to come together with men and women and geniuses and different perspectives, where we all win and we rise much faster.
Yeah. And that is truly what we need in this world. I want to circle back to two things. First, I don't even think that I gave you the opportunity to talk about fuel to fire and your 21-day power sprint. So I definitely want to give you the opportunity to do that. And I also want to give you the opportunity to sort of tell your story. Where did Midori come from? Where is Midori going? So maybe we could start there.
Okay. I love doing things in reverse. It's
Yes.
awesome. Okay. Well, so just a little background on me. My first business, we started right out of college. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I was a communications and sociology major,
Awesome.
and we decided to start a business. My then he was my boyfriend, but then we got married, and that business took off. Google
Awesome.
AdWords came out. We started. Okay, this is how far back we go. We started with Yellow Pages,
Oh, my gosh.
and then we were early adopters of Google AdWords, and our business took off. So
Wow.
we were lucky. There's luck in business too, right?
Yes.
So fast forward. So that was a business of my husband. And if anyone has ever started a business or done anything with their husband for a long period of time, you know how damn hard it is. And so I realized it was time for me to go a different direction. I still remained an advisor for the company, but I went my own direction. And so that's where I am now. And through that whole journey, I realized, holy crap, this
Mhm.
is hard. The
Yes.
first one we got lucky. But then my other businesses, it was really hard. And that's when I'm like, I want some support here. I want to be talking with other women who've done it, where we can help each other. And so that's where the whole idea of community came in. And we have the Fuel the Fire community, and it was about goals and accountability. And it's since pivoted. It's evolved. And that brings us to where I'm at today with the power sprints, Because what I have seen from
Mm,
my own businesses and from working with so many people over the years, I literally have worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, and I see the same thing. They have two primary problems: getting high quality, consistent leads, and
mhm,
then how do you close them once you get them? And if you
mm.
can nail that, you can grow your business. You need other things too. You need the marketing, you need the messaging, etc., right? But you need those two things. If you can't ever hone in that and nail that, you will only get to a certain level.
Yeah.
Just what I've seen. So that's why now we create I'm all about laser focus.
Mm,
And laser focus on that. And what we see is that these businesses that were kind of right here for so long, and for those, I know you're all listening, but I have my hand flat, right? But
yeah.
then when you can nail that, that's when your business can really take off. And then you start having growing pains. And
Mhm.
we can help you with that too. But you really need to nail the leads and sales. And so that's where the power sprints come in. They're 21 days because you need that laser focus.
Mm,
Otherwise, there is so many shiny objects and it's easy to procrastinate and do all these other things. But we have a system in place that works really well with accountability, with a playbook of exactly this is what you're doing this week, nothing else. This is what you're doing, and it works. So
Do
that's it.
you do you find that the sort of the challenge with the leads and the conversion of leads, do you find that that's an external to the person issue, or do you find that that's more of an internal issue? Like they have blocks around whatever it is, promoting themselves, doing the video, doing the marketing. Like where do you see the the biggest barriers to overcoming sort of the lead and the conversion issue?
Yeah, I think it's both from what
Mm,
I've seen. Not I think,
mm,
I know it is. It's both. So when it comes to, especially for women with getting leads, I see women doing everything. Not
mhm.
just women, men too. Let me be fair. So they're going out and doing the networking. They are doing everything on social media. And then someone tells them, oh, you should be doing blogs. So they go
Yeah.
and do the blogs. And they're spread so all over the place,
Mm,
nothing works well. That's why I'm all about laser focus, right?
mm,
What do you do well? We talked about zone of genius earlier. Coming back to that, what is it that you do really well that you feel comfortable with that you love?
mm,
Let's start there because that's where you're
mm.
going to see success, and it's going to be much easier to scale that and improve that and grow that than something that you hate doing. If you hate doing videos, let's not go there. Let's do
Right.
something else, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot of options out there. So that's one area. And just kind of spoiler alert, networking is great, but it's really hard to scale and
Yes.
it's a lot of wasted time. So that's usually not where I have my clients start with the leads.
Interesting.
And then as far as the sales go, they don't have the playbook. They have again, the mindset story going on is, ooh, I don't want to, maybe this client can't afford my services. They don't
Right.
have enough money. So we're telling ourselves this when we
Yeah.
have no idea. We
Right.
don't know. And we're coming at it from this place of feeling like, ooh, it's bad for me to try to sell something to someone instead of, holy crap, I can change this person's life
Right.
with the skills that I have, coming from often from being very honest, because maybe you can't, and if you can't then you don't do it, but
Right.
if you can and you know that you can change that person's life, you have the skills, you have the technology, you can see what they're doing wrong, then
Mm.
why would you not come in and help them, right? So
Yeah.
it's changing that perspective and then having the playbook of how do you lead them through that sales call so that
Mhm.
they are saying yes, right? Because a lot of times we get tripped up with our own tongue and we're giving
Oh
too much
gosh.
information and we're coaching them on the call and we're doing all the things that come naturally for us, but it's really stabbing us in the foot because now they're having objections and you just gave them all the answers and
Right.
they don't know how to execute it, but they think they do. And so, I mean, there's so much in there, but once again, we make everything too hard for ourselves. And if we can simplify and talk with someone who has the playbook for us and cut out the clutter,
Mhm.
holy crap, all of a sudden we can hear the birds singing and we have time to think straight so that we can dive into what we're going to do and be more effective. So
Mm.
it's not hard. We just need to know what we're doing wrong.
Yeah, and you know what I love about this 21-day power sprint that I think is powerful for the power sprint is that I think it's hard when you are an entrepreneur and you recognize that you want some type of help, right? You want a coach, you know that you are getting in your own way. And so you then commit to the idea of, okay, I'm going to hire someone to help me. And then you maybe interview some people to hire and you make your choice, and then the process is 6 months, a year, and it just feels like, "Where am I going? What am I doing?" I think that what's so beautiful about the 21-day sprint is pick an issue, right? The biggest issue that is going to make the biggest impact in your business and figure that out, right? It's almost like when you when you go on a diet and you're like, just let me lose like 5 pounds in 7 days, and then I will get on the maintenance and change the habits and do everything right. You just need that big, like, push, that big win in order to convince yourself that results are possible. And then you'll do the smaller actions that lead to the longer term results. But I find sometimes, because I've hired coaches, and it's a long process, and you don't necessarily see results right away, and you're told trust the process, trust the process. And it's hard to trust the process when you're sort of bleeding money and you want 21 days. You need 21 days to get that cash flowing. That's the lifeblood of your business.
Hmm. So there's a number of things to unpack with what you just said, Adrian. I don't know that we have
Yes.
time for all that, but let's talk about some of that because it is important.
Yes.
One is building the momentum. The 21 days is about the momentum. We're there with you for actually the whole year, but we do it's pretty much a boot camp. It's an
Boot camp.
accelerator for the first 21 days to get that momentum going.
Yes.
This is all a journey, right? Entrepreneurship is a journey and it's a mindset, and you have to have the right mindset. So
Yes.
that's the whole thing with the 21 days is let's cut out all the crap, get you
Yes.
laser focused, and then let's go. But then we're also with you because as with a diet, right?
Yes.
You get those early wins and then you go, then it's holidays, right? And
Mhm.
there's these beautiful things all around and it's easy to get off track. So that's why we stay with them because we know what works and what doesn't work. So we're with you the whole year.
Mm.
The other part is the money part of it. This is where women, I can't even like it makes me so like I just want to scream it from the mountaintops.
Do it. Scream it from the podcast studios everywhere.
All over the place. I'm gonna be like, what's that show from when we were younger and she's singing from the mountaintops.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's find the money. Find the freaking money. Do you need to go get a line of credit? What do you need to do to
Mm.
get yourself out of this money loop that is
Mm.
holding you back? Because until you take those big steps, just like Adrian, just think if you could accelerate yourself and get you to that point where you play really well because you did it in corporate and you
Yeah.
know that you'll be successful there, why take many baby steps to get there? Why don't you take that leap? Find
Yeah.
that way to get there because you know you're going to be successful. You know what to do once you get there. You already have
Yeah.
proven that to yourself,
Yeah.
right? So that's what I invite every single person who's listening to this podcast is what's that gap? What's holding you back? And how can you solve that quick and get yourself there to where
Mm.
you need to be, where maybe like for me, I this is just my example, is I'm really good at the big vision.
Mm.
I hate detail work. I
Mm.
can't stand it. The first thing I lit off with my business is we got a bookkeeper and an accountant because I would have got us in jail because I hate it so much, right? We wouldn't have done it. And so that's just an example of how I operate. I know my zone of genius is thinking big and
Mm.
then figuring it out from there, right?
Mm.
So I have a COO who is really good at the details
Ah.
and she charges me a shit ton of money. And when I first hired her, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot. I don't have that right now.
Mhm.
But I also have been doing this long enough that I know I need to.
Yeah.
And so I found a way to make it happen, and we did, and now we're accelerating. So I can focus on my zone of genius where I can double my productivity, triple my productivity, probably quadruple my productivity with her doing what she's doing and what I'm doing. And it works so much faster,
Yeah.
right? Instead of me beating myself up, trying to do all these things that I shouldn't be doing because I suck at it.
Right.
And I'm super clear on that.
Yeah.
And instead, playing where I play well and then delegating where I can. And I found the money and I made it work. And that's what we need to all question ourselves about.
Yeah.
Stop what you're doing, really think about where do you want to go? How bad do you want to get there? And what
Mm.
do you need to do to make it happen?
Yeah. And just to hammer the point home, I think this applies at all levels. So even when you are already at that, 6, 7, 8 figure mark, this idea of like, what is that vision that you want to bring into your life? And how can you get there faster? Because that vision is in you for a reason. It didn't just you didn't just make it up out of nowhere, right? We know things in ourselves, and they're there because the universe or whatever you believe in wants to bring that into reality through you. And so I just think everything that you have spoken about today is so, so powerful. And I think it can apply everywhere, not just for, sales, not just for growing or scaling your business, but even when you get to that place where you want to do the next thing, whatever that is, whether you want to make an impact, whether you're thinking about selling your business, whether you want to go and do something amazing in the world. The thing that's sticking with me is like you have that vision, and then what are the steps that you need to take to accelerate to get to the place that is going to allow you to execute on that vision. And Midori, I love it. I think it's so good.
Good.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it helps some people out there, and it just kinda changes the way that we think about growing business because we're talking with women who are either at a certain level of success and they want to get to another level, or those who really have aspirational goals.
Yes.
Stop playing small, find ways to play bigger, and
Mm.
figure it out. It's a puzzle. And the best way to do it is to find those who've already done it, to
Mm.
help you shorten your learning curve and get you there much quicker.
I love it. So if people want to get in touch with you, talk to you, join your programs, how do they do that?
The easiest way to do it is just to go simply to our website, fuel2fire.co, and it's fuel TO. So TO spelt out, fuel2fire.co. You can reach me there. There's, easy ways to get a hold of us from there.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with me here today. I can't wait to participate in more of the roundtable discussions. They're always so amazing that truly the women that you bring around you are just so inspirational to me. I learn something every time I'm on one of those, I guess, gatherings, for lack of a better word. They're just incredible. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for giving us the power to, or the permission really to think bigger and to bring these incredible visions to life.
Oh, thank you for having me and having the space for other women to learn and to grow. And this has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It's not just about boosting the show, it's about amplifying the voices of women entrepreneurs who are leading with vision, building with purpose, and shaping what's next. We need more of these conversations in the world right now, don't you think? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who matters to you, send this episode to them. If there's something on your mind about leadership, legacy, or what's next, I want to hear it. Head to sheleadsmedia.com/voice and leave a voice memo or note. Your insight might just help shape a future episode. Make sure to follow the show and come back next week for more conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you so much for listening. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.